Welcome to Pinnacle Performance Company's Fishbowl Friday with Pinnacle co-founder and COO G. Riley Mills and master instructor and editorial director Brad Lawrence.
Where am I?
I think you know where you are.
It's Fishbowl Friday, of course. I'm Brad. This is G. Riley Mills. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode. How does this work? What are we doing?
So it works this way. We bring in a fishbowl filled with very, very good questions, some sent in by all of you. And then every Friday, we pull one, we answer it, then send you off into your weekend to have a good time.
Yeah, because what else would I like to think about?
What better way to end your Friday, to end your week, than with us in this fishbowl?
I can't think of one.
Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's see what we got here. You can read this one.
Oh, man. I colleague misses deadlines, and it affects my work. How do I address it without causing tension?
Okay. Colleague is not good at time management.
Okay.
And it has a cascading effect.
Yeah.
So first off, understand that your time management problems do affect other people. So for that person, so it's got to be addressed. So what we're talking about is the person that is writing this in is saying, this is screwing me up. This is causing hardship for me. How do I handle it? So this is a difficult conversation that has to be had. Otherwise, this problem is not going to be solved.
And it probably, I shouldn't say probably, it may cause tension, even if you attack it in the best way possible. There is a likelihood it will, and that is okay.
Yeah.
That is okay, because conflict is necessary in order to resolve things like this.
Absolutely. A little creative conflict at work, not bad.
Actually, a productive thing sometimes.
So having a difficult conversation. Everybody hates the difficult conversation. I kind of like the difficult conversations. My daughters,
Are you a masochist?
No, my daughters will always come to me and go, hey, I have to have a difficult conversation with my friend. Can you help me with this difficult? And I go, I love it. They go, yeah, we know, because you love difficult conversations. But the reason I'm not scared of difficult conversations when I used to be, I used to avoid them and dread them and just not partake in them whenever possible. But I love them because there's a really simple structure that you can use to have those difficult conversations. And it involves setting the context, talking about the impact of how this event or this activity is affecting you, and then coming up with a plan to execute and try to get buy-in and agreement. Can we make this change so that it stops impacting me that way? What would you add on the difficult conversation front?
With any kind of difficult conversation, I think it's important to start going back to what you were saying about context and impact, starting from a factual place as much as possible.
Great point.
Build a factual foundation.
Yeah.
Of course, there's subjective elements as well, but talking very specifically, and if you can even record dates, times, have that ready to go. So
especially with this one, it's easy. The deadlines. So you miss the deadline on this date. You miss the deadline on this date, and then another time you miss the deadline on this. And here's the impact. Here's what happened.
Because if you go into something like this and you don't have those facts with you, you're in trouble.
No.
Because it's easy for me to push back and I don't know, what are you talking about? Without the proof, without the evidence.
Yeah. And so the missing of the deadline, when you describe the impact of, so you missed that deadline, here's what that meant for me. The impact was I had to work the whole weekend to fill in those gaps because you were on vacation and the project wasn't finished. I had to work through the whole weekend so that we could deliver it on Monday like you were supposed to do. And it caused stress for me because I had my family event that I had to do, this. I had to go into the office, and it just was less than ideal. And so by describing that impact, the person understands, wow, my missed deadline is not just a missed deadline for me. It affects the team. It affects the whole organization. It affects the deal that we're trying to get across the line. So I think that's important, is laying out the impact and then asking for, how can I help you? Like, diving in and going, so this is the third time you missed deadlines. What's going on? Is there something I can help you with? And you may discover by asking that question, oh, I didn't know your mom was sick. Oh, wow, your mom has been sick and you're the caretaker. I did not know that. So now that I know that, what can we do to change this, the way we're collaborating, so I can take some of that off your plate or we can shift it to someone else?
Getting their perspective, I think, is really important, especially for matters that may be a little more subjective. Missed deadlines, they're pretty objective, like you either did or you didn't, but there's still going to be things happening behind the scenes that you may not know about. So getting their side of the story, getting their viewpoint on what's happening is really important, because that won't change the impact that it had on you or the impact that you're describing, but understanding where they're coming from, I think, is really important.
Yeah,
as well.
and enter this difficult conversation, enter every difficult conversation with curiosity. Ask questions versus coming in like a bulldozer and pointing fingers and really being confrontational. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. Come in, lay out the impact, the context, the impact, and then here's what I'd like to suggest based on what you just told me. That approach, I think, is going to be better. Ask those questions.
A lot of tough conversations happen after breaking points.
Yes.
Somebody's reached a point where they're like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a really bad mind space to be in approaching something like this. So check that, be aware of that. But the sooner you can address things like that, the lower the temperature is overall, I think.
And also for the people who avoid difficult conversations because they don't want to have 5 minutes of awkwardness and someone being mad at them, would you rather have 5 minutes of that, or would you rather have another 5 years of working with this person, missing their deadlines, and screwing up your weekends, and you becoming resentful and angry? That's worse. So lean into that bad 5 minutes, that tough, difficult conversation, lay out the context, tell them the impact, and then suggest a path forward.
And if your teenage girls need to have a difficult conversation, Gary's for...
That's right. You can rent me out as the difficult conversation coach for teenagers. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
There's your Fishbowl Friday. See you next time.
Bye.
If you'd like to submit a question for the Fishbowl, drop us an email at fishbowl@pinper.com. If you'd like to learn more about Pinnacle Performance Company, email us at info@pinper.com. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and tell your friends. See you next week.